On, guys? We are live here right now on YouTube with 2024 presidential election results. Let me know if you can see and hear me live here in the chat as we have people coming in here. And yes, so yeah, people are coming in here right now. And we have 198 electoral votes for former President Donald Trump and 112 electoral votes for Vice President Kamala Harris. So let me know if you can see and hear me in the chat as we have people coming in here right now on YouTube. Yeah, so here is the current votes, and we don't have we have a lot of different states reporting here. We're going to go over the details here right now. Let me know where you're tuning in here from as we have people tuning in here right now. I'm loading up here as people are coming in here. Yeah, people are tuning in right now, and let me know if you can see and hear me. 198 electoral votes for Trump, 112 for Kamala Harris. A lot of people are saying it might come down to Pennsylvania, which is currently 19 electoral votes, 54% reporting, and Donald Trump has the lead right now, 50.9% and 1.943 million for Donald Trump and 1.841 for Kamala Harris. So about 100,000 votes lead for Donald Trump. So let me know if you voted here today. And if you want to, let me know who you voted for in the chat or the comment section. You can let me know who you voted for. You can let me know if you voted red. You can let me know if you voted blue in the chat or the comment section. So now remember here that California is still going to be coming in, and that's going to be a lot of vote expected for California for the Democrats. And a lot of people coming in here, and let me see here. California electoral votes, 54 electoral votes here for California, which is expected to be blue. So that would take it to 168. So that will bring it a little bit closer. Pennsylvania with 19, that will be a big win for former President Donald Trump if he gets that. Another one here, big right now, is Georgia with, let me see here, 88% reporting. And that as well will be really big here. That is currently leading towards Donald Trump here as well. So, yeah. So currently 2.43 million votes for Donald Trump, 2.23 million votes for Kamala Harris. So that is currently the lead here for Donald Trump in Georgia. So let me know your thoughts on that. If Donald Trump takes Pennsylvania and Georgia and North Carolina, that could be the swing there. So yeah. Let me know if my camera's coming in for you guys. Can you see me on camera? No camera here. I am there now. Okay, now we have camera. Hey, how about that? Okay, so all right, we got camera now. So Donald Trump looking pretty good there in Pennsylvania, North Carolina. He has a current lead with 52% to 46% with a 260,000 lead as well. So pretty big lead there as well. A lot of these swing states, Donald Trump currently leading pretty decently there. Pretty decently. Ohio, he's got a pretty commanding lead with 600,000 votes. That is currently at 79% reporting. Donald Trump, they're calling it. Now, remember when they call these, we've seen this in the last election. They can always, come back, but that is a pretty commanding lead for Donald Trump in Ohio. 600,000 vote lead. Donald Trump being called the winner here in Ohio. So, Kamala Harris is currently leading in Illinois, Colorado, New York, as expected. Vermont, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, a lot of these eastern born states, Maryland, and such here. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here. We can also go over here to the Associated Press here, which shows a little bit differently. And we can see the popular vote here. Donald Trump is leading the popular vote by about 5.4 million votes in the popular vote. Donald Trump did not win the popular vote in either of the last two elections, even when he won the presidency. And this time, so far, he's currently winning the popular vote by about 5.4 million votes. Now, remember, though, that California is the most populated state, and that is like 15% of the entire population of the United States, over 40 million people there. And currently, Kamala Harris has 40 million votes total, and Donald Trump has 45 million votes approximately. So we are going to see, probably a little bit of a swing there when it comes to California come in, which is typically Democrat. So we did see that here as well. So we actually seen earlier that Texas was neck and neck and then pulled away Republican Donald Trump. Senator Ted Cruz was actually losing the senator race and then pulled away there a little bit. I'll see if I can get an update here on that as well. But you can see the red wave is starting a little bit. We'll have to see if it holds. The blue wave here on the eastern wall, we'll see if they have enough to kind of pull away here, or to stop the red that's currently happening here. There is, I believe, more red Senate seats that the Republicans can take an advantage here. We'll have to see when all's said and done. You can see the numbers here: 48 Republican Senate seats, 36 Democrat Senate seats. I believe the Republicans think they have flipped one Republican Senate seat so far. So, yeah, let's go. Someone says in the chat here, Arizona just went back to red 2 minutes ago. So Arizona extremely close, 49.7% to 49.5%. Yes, Arizona extremely close. 4,000, less than about 4,000 votes between Arizona at 49% reporting. There's 11 electoral votes there, almost a dead tie there. That's with almost 900,000 votes between for both the Republicans and the Democrats. 898,000 ish votes for Donald Trump, 894,000 votes for Kamala Harris. So that's like about 1.9 million votes for both of total, and neck, almost completely even. So that's one of those states. I mean, you could see something swing there, but that's something that could come down to the wire there. And you never know. That could be something that, when Kamala Harris picks up California, which is expected, you never know, right? But that could be one of the states that, could be a deciding factor. However, if Trump holds Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina, that could be enough for Trump. However, you do need to get to 270. You do need to get to 270. And as you can see here, neither of them is close enough there. Trump's at 198, but you got to get all the way to 270 to win. You got to get all the way to 270 to win. So nobody is there or even close enough to win that yet. So you guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comment section. So Michigan also extremely close here. Very, very close, even closer than Arizona at 49.2% for Kamala Harris and 49% for Donald Trump. Almost a dead tie. 647,900 votes for Kamala Harris and 645,000 votes for Donald Trump. So essentially almost a dead heat. That's with only 22% reporting. So Michigan seems to be very slow on reporting. You compare that to like New York has 67% reporting. Pennsylvania has 57% reporting, and Ohio has 80% reporting. So Michigan is very behind the ball when it comes to reporting there. Indiana has 78% reporting, and Donald Trump is well ahead there. So another one that's very, very close here is Wisconsin, 49.4% to 49.1% for Donald Trump. Actually, it just updated. So we got 49.6% to 48.9%. So Donald Trump is ahead there by it's about like 12,000 votes. That's somewhere around there. That's with 53% reporting here for Wisconsin. So that's pretty close with 53% reporting, leaning towards former President Donald Trump, but pretty close there, pretty close here. Iowa leaning Donald Trump. He's ahead by almost 100,000 votes or so there. Minnesota's only 4% reporting. They're extremely far behind there. Georgia, Donald Trump's holding Georgia. He's got 51% to 48%, 2,433,000 votes to 2.28 million for Kamala Harris. That's with 88% of the votes there. So that's a pretty big pretty decent lead for Donald Trump there. The race hasn't been called yet, but that this is one of those states that's going to come down to the last of the last there. But Donald Trump doing very well there in Georgia so far. And it's going to depend on what the last counties are. Is it Atlanta, which is pretty blue there? Is it suburbs that are left over? We'll have to see what comes back down to it. But we'll have to see here. But Donald Trump has a pretty good lead there in Georgia with looks like about 150,000 there. Thanks, Ryan, for the super chat. Who's winning the state senate for Wisconsin? Wisconsin here. So let me see here. So Wisconsin. Wisconsin State Senate race. Bah. Okay, too close to call. 50% to 47%. Democrat Tammy Baldwin, 800,000 votes to 762,000. So the Democrat Tammy Baldwin is winning by about 40,000 votes. So pretty close there. Yeah, so Donald Trump pulling away here with the popular vote so far, up by about 6 million votes. Wow. I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised by that. But again, California is going to be um, a big pull for Kamala Harris when it comes to that as well. Let me go back here. So Pennsylvania, Donald Trump ahead by, what is that, about 100,000 votes, according to the Associated Press. Pennsylvania is going to be a big, big deal because it's 19 electoral votes either way. So that's 38 votes as a swing. And you can see the difference in reporting here. This reporting actually has 204 electoral votes for Donald Trump with the Associated Press. Google actually has 198 versus 112. So that's another 6 votes that they gave to Donald Trump here somewhere. So either one of them has to get to 270. So even though Trump, is pretty far ahead, remember 210, even 250 will not get you the win. You got to get all the way to 270. 270. And California is worth, God, I just had it here a little bit ago, but California is worth a lot. It's like, what is it, like 40 or something like that? I had the number here just a second ago. So, but Kamala Harris is going to need more than California, and we'll see that. So Arizona down to almost, gosh, Arizona is within 1,000 votes. That's how close some of these states are. Donald Trump leading Arizona 902,000 votes to 901,000 votes. Can you even believe how unbelievably close some of these states are? 49.6% to 49.6%. 49.6% to 49.6%. 1,000 votes separating the entire state with 50% reporting. Unbelievable. Michigan at 24% reporting. Michigan seems to be the slowest state so far. 49.4% for Michigan for Donald Trump. 600. It just actually updated. Okay, so 49.6% for Donald Trump. 48.6% for Kamala Harris. So Kamala Harris is 1% behind, and she looks to be about 15,000 votes behind in Michigan. In Wisconsin, Donald Trump is ahead by about 27,000 votes. So, yeah, and Donald Trump's still holding Georgia, still holding North Carolina. North Carolina, 84% reporting. Donald Trump seems to have about a lead of about 120,000 there. Georgia, he's got a lead of over 100,000 there. Pennsylvania, 60% reporting. Donald Trump, 2.15 million votes. Kamala Harris at 2.03 million votes. 60% reporting. A lot of that is going to come down to the, what counties are reporting. You're going to see counties like, Pittsburgh are going to be blue, and the rural counties are going to be red. New Mexico blue, Texas red, and thank you for the super chat there, Jeremy. And wow, unbelievable how close Arizona is. Yeah, thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for your comments, guys. 53 points for California, Devin says there. Yeah, let me know if you're seeing any surprises here on any of these states. Did you think any of this stuff would go this way? If any of this stuff you think would be different? Yeah, I seen Bernie Sanders running for senator again. Man, he is another 6 years as senator for Bernie Sanders. How old is Bernie Sanders, man? Bernie Sanders' age. 83. He's going to run another 6 years as senator. 89. Wow. Wow. I mean, geez. Not that I'm for or against anybody, but 89 years old as a senator. I seen Rick Scott was running again. 71, man. He's gonna be there till 77. That I'll tell you, Rick Scott, he just looks older than his age, man. 71. I thought that guy was about 85. Um, yeah, some of these guys, I can't believe that Bernie Sanders is running again at 83 years old. Talk about a career politician. I mean, you guys might be for these guys or against these guys or anything, but senators are there for 6 years. Remember, they're not like House of Representatives. They're there for 2 years. They're there for 6-year terms. Now, honestly, that's actually better than the Supreme Court justices that are there forever. Um, Supreme Court justices should not be there forever. They should not be there for life terms. That is just absolutely ridiculous. There's no way that a Supreme Court justice should be in there for life term, and they can't people can't even vote them out if they're unhappy or anything along those lines. I think that's an absolute travesty. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on that. But wow, yeah. So yeah, people said if yeah, thank you guys so much in the comment sections. Yeah, Trump leading if and when Kamala gets the 53, I think they said for California, it'll be 166, which is still not enough for either one. You need 270. You need 270. Honestly, I think Donald Trump is performing very well right now. And if he holds these states, he he's probably looking like he is, obviously it's too early to call, but he's looking very favorably. Let's say that he's looking very favorably with him leading Georgia, him leading North Carolina, and him leading Pennsylvania, and him leading Michigan barely, barely. Arizona is unbelievably close, almost a deadlock. Arizona, Donald Trump is leading currently by about, it's like about less than 3,000 votes because Kamala Harris is almost at 902,000 and Donald Trump's at 904,000. So Laurel says in the comment section, don't they want to retire on a beach somewhere? I don't want to be working when I'm, what is he going to be, 89 or something like that, or 83 plus 60, 89 years old as a senator. And honestly, I know that these guys get a lot of slack for saying that they go on vacation, but a lot of their vacations are actually just them going back to their states to work. A lot of people kind of don't really get that, but when they leave Washington, they go back to their states to work. They're not always working in Washington. They're going back to their states to work because, they do have to actually be in their states sometimes. So when they actually go on and I can't even think of the word right now, of when they go to their leaves or whatever. A lot of times they're just going back to their states to work for a month or something like that because they can't always work in Washington. They have to work in their states and be with their constituents a lot of time. I wouldn't want to be, a senator working at 89 or 88 or 87 or 85 years old. That's just wild, you know. And Bernie Sanders doesn't need the money, just like a lot of these other guys. And I get that Bernie Sanders probably thinks his life mission is helping the people, but pass the torch to somebody, right? Get your next person that you think is next best and retire. Yeah, yeah. I think there is an age limit for a senator. I don't know it off the top of my head. An age minimum, but the problem is I really think we need age limits for senators and representatives and presidents. And the problem is that all these guys think that they're fit to be in office until they croak, right? And a lot of people think that Biden is pushing that, and Trump's only a few years younger. And I think that same thing with Bernie Sanders, Nancy Pelosi, Look at Mitch McConnell, man. A lot of these guys think they're fit to be in office until they're not, right? And it doesn't really matter what side of the thing you're on, especially these senators that are there for 6 years in a term, or these Supreme Court justices that are there for life, literally until they croak. This is kind of a problem, right? Is that they should they shouldn't be there in their 80s, and you have like Mitch McConnell there, and he's staring blankly at you when you ask him a question. And yet, just a year ago, they were saying, "Oh, I'm fine, right? I'm great to run." And then he gets an overwhelming vote from his constituents. It's like this is kind of the problem. And the other problem is that the Republicans want to vote for Republicans, and he's the only choice in that in that in that district. This is why we need an age limit, an upper age limit for all elected officials. You know, it's just this is a serious problem, right? Serious problem. Age limit of 70 or something, 75, 70 or something like that. There is actually an age limit for some judges in some districts, but yet we don't have it for presidents or House of Representatives or senators, which is unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Yeah, yeah. And the problem is now is that you can't do it now because it would disqualify Trump, and obviously the Republicans aren't going to do that now. And so it would have to maybe happen after this, but yeah, yeah. And the other problem is it's just like everybody wants term limits, but for term limits to happen, guess who has to vote for it? The same people that would vote themselves out. And there is your problem. Hmm. There really needs to be term limits for the Supreme Court judges. That's one of the worst ones there. At least with the term limits with the House of Representatives and the senators, at least they have to get re-voted in every 2 years or 6 years. So at least there is some type of term limit there, is that they have to get re-voted in. Supreme Court justices don't even really get voted in by the people per se at all. And then once they're there, they remain there for 30, 40, 50 years until they die or retire, which is wild. Absolutely wild. Yeah, let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section. So Donald Trump still holding the popular vote, almost 50 million votes for Donald Trump, almost 44 for Kamala Harris. So honestly, I think that a lot of people would say she's performing poorly. Even if you're a Kamala Harris fan, I would say that a lot of people would say she's performing poorly. I honestly would have to say that. And again, I always try to remain neutral. If you guys have watched me forever, I honestly can't say that Kamala Harris is performing well anywhere. I can't see any states where she is performing better than expected. If you're a Democrat, you could let me know in the comment section if I'm off there. I just don't see any states where Kamala Harris is performing better than expected. You know, Trump is performing well in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. Arizona's neck and neck, but I mean Trump is holding the lead by 2,000. But Trump is performing well here in all of these states. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So now obviously we're going to see some results change. We've seen this with the last election. It just is what it is, and I think the reason for that is because we see a lot of the larger population cities take longer to count because there's just larger population cities, and we typically see that. Like here's a perfect example with Ohio. You see all the rural cities red, and you see the larger population cities blue. And the reason, why maybe people say, oh, Kamala Harris, oh, you know, something's funny with the reporting or something, is because these larger cities tend to typically be blue, and these ones are the ones that take the longest to report because these are the largest population. So these typically take the largest time to get the votes in to count them. Cleveland with several 100,000 people, Columbus with several 100,000 people, and Cincinnati with several 100,000 people, where these rural, areas, have, 10% of that, 20% of that, 30% of that, 40% of that, and they can count their votes quicker. And they're all red. You can see they're all red. So this is why maybe you see Kamala Harris or Joe Biden in the last election, that they'll gain some votes later on, because you see these blue areas with these are the big cities: Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati, and Toledo. These are the areas that are blue, and they take longer to count the votes because those are the large population cities. Okay, if that kind of makes sense. So, this is where Kamala Harris, the Democrats, or Biden in the last election, this is where they can gain in the late results. Okay, so this is where you see Donald Trump kind of leading right now, but Kamala Harris could pick up in the later results, right? Okay, so this is where, I don't want people to, get ahead of themselves and say that anybody has it in the bag or something like that, because the larger population cities take the longest to count their votes because there's just more population. So I hope that makes sense. I just know this because I'm from Ohio, and I could just zoom in there and say, I know this just because it's the back of my hand, right? You see all these smaller counties are all red, and the larger cities just typically tend to be blue. Um, I don't know why. And you also typically also tend to see a lot of the um, poorer populations tend to be in the larger cities as well. I don't know why that is. It's just typically the way that is. You guys can let me know your thoughts on something like that, but that's just kind of what you happen to see there. So, yeah, Georgia at 90% reporting now. Donald Trump holding almost 150,000 lead. But again, you might see the same type of thing there, with Atlanta being a blue region, a Democrat region, and we'll have to see. Are they, with the larger population of Atlanta? They're, obviously we're going to think here that Atlanta is the larger population area of Georgia. Most of the population is going to be there in the bigger cities, and you can see it's the blue region, the Democrat region. Is Kamala Harris going to be able to pick up enough votes there from Atlanta? And they're counting the large amount of votes in the large city. Are they going to be able to pick up enough votes there to come back? Come back. You guys can let me know your thoughts there in the comment section. But that typically tends to be why the Democrats can sometimes come back at the end there. And I don't know why that is. You guys can let me know your thoughts there. But we typically see these red Republican rural counties, and then we see the Democrats in the larger population areas. So, yeah. All the bills are supposed to go through Congress if passed, and they go through the Senate. They have to pass there. If the bill passes in the Senate, it goes to the president, or she can sign or veto it. The thing is that I know that some bills actually start in the Senate, though, because I've seen that before where the Senate actually starts some bills. So we've seen that before in the past with different bills. So yeah, so most of the time you think bills start in the House. Okay, so they added up. Kamala Harris coming back now. They've given her California with 0% reporting. Okay, so that's kind of funny, but the 0% reporting for California, and they've given her the state. So you guys can let me know your thoughts on that. But 0% reporting for California, and they've given her the state. Also 0% reporting for Washington, and they've given her the state as well. So, um, yeah. So you can see how things are catching up now with two states that she's expected to get, but there is 0% reporting there as well. So it does catch up a little bit there, and it does look closer now with two blue states that would be closer here. Yeah. Yeah. I get your thoughts there. Why give her the votes if no votes have been tallied? That's why I kind of laughed. They do this with the polling sometimes, and that's why I said that they can go back and change them. We've seen this with the last election where they actually gave a state to somebody, and I can't remember who they were or anything like this, but they gave a state to somebody, and then when the votes actually were too close to call, they actually went back and turned it back neutral. Um, and then way later on, when they got closer, then they called it for somebody again. So that's why this is actually just predicted results. These are predicted results. Okay. So any of this stuff, for example, let's look at Texas here. Texas is 40 electoral votes for Donald Trump with 74% reporting. You could see something crazy happen with the last 26% reporting as they count them, right? And something crazy could happen. And any of these states, let's find a state that's kind of close here that is being reported for anybody. Let me just find a state that's kind of close here that's being reported here for somebody. Um, I don't see any of them that are like super close that are being called. Um, but I remember in the last election, they had some that were called one way, and then they had to take them back. So just keep that in mind because these are predicted results. So until they're like 100% in or 99% in or something like that, and really until they're certified way later on in like January. Um, yeah. So what determines the race? It's actually the Electoral College. We have this funny system that goes state by state. You would think that it would be the popular vote. You would think that every vote would matter, right? So you would think that like every single vote in every single state would matter and it would come down to every single vote and it wouldn't have this state by state by state weird system, right? Where you have to go and win this every single state thing, right? But no, we have this weird reporting system, and you almost think that they should change it at some point, right? Because it's this really weird system where every vote doesn't really matter. It's kind of strange, right? Where somebody could go and lose the popular vote and not be a president. Figure that one out, right? Um, and it's been like that since the 200 some years, right? I don't know if it's been like that since the start of our country. Somebody could look that up, but yeah, it's kind of strange. It's kind of strange. So, and that's where it just kind of is what it is, right? So, but right now, Trump is leading the popular vote by about 6 million votes. But we have seen it where the popular vote has led to the other guy being president, even though he had less votes. Yeah. Yeah. And, you could see people were like, for example, people in Texas might not go vote if they're a Democrat because the state is red. Or you could see Republicans in California maybe not go vote because the state is blue. And a Republican in California might think that their vote doesn't matter because the state's going to be blue, and a Republican might not go vote in California because of that. Or you could see a Republican in New York not go vote because, oh, well, the state's going to turn blue. So you might see a Republican not go vote. Or you could see a Democrat in Texas not go vote because they might think that their vote doesn't matter. And that's one of the flaws with this system, where if you had a popular vote system where every vote mattered, you might actually get more votes, you know? Yeah. So how can they say the winner when there's only 70% reporting? Yeah, so what I was saying is that they if it changes, if it actually gets very, very close in the next 5 or 10% at 80%, these predicted results can actually go back and they could say, well, now it's actually too close to call for that particular state. So they can actually take points off the board. I seen that in the last election where, so say, so some of these slightly shaded states like Georgia, um, they have not given points to say Donald Trump for Georgia, where they're slightly shaded red here, or like Arizona, where he's winning by 2,000 votes. He hasn't gotten any points on the board here yet. Okay, so that just means he's slightly winning. He's slightly winning. Um, but say a state like, I don't know, one of these states here. So actually, okay, so here in Montana, they've given Montana to Donald Trump with only 6% reporting. He's winning 21,000 votes to 12,000 votes. Okay, a tiny, tiny amount reporting. Well, if in an hour somehow Montana, is a dead even tie, or even Kamala Harris becomes leading, they could say, well, we've now determined, or we now think that it's too close to call, or even Kamala Harris is winning. We're going to take those 4 electoral votes off the board for the time being, and we're going to take Trump from 214 down to 210 because it's too close to call. So they could take 4 points off the board for Trump because it's too close. So we initially gave him 4 points because we predicted he was going to win Montana because it's typically a red state. And now, because of the way the voting's going, we thought he was going to win it, but now it's too close. So, yeah, remember that a lot of this stuff is predicted based on the way reporting is going. California and Washington State, well, California and Washington State initially they gave to Kamala Harris with 0% reporting because of past results, I guess. Washington Washington State now has 10% reporting, and Kamala Harris is winning 214,000 to 208,000. So she's only barely winning Washington State, but they have still given her the 12 electoral votes. So, there's an example of where you never know what could happen here. Yeah, Arizona has not updated here recently. Trump is in Michigan. He's up by 80,000 votes there in Michigan, only 30% reporting. Pennsylvania, Trump is still holding strong with almost 2.6 million votes to 2.41 million for Kamala Harris. So Trump is doing very well in Pennsylvania, but the question here is, will those large cities like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia with the large population counts that will typically come in towards the end, will Kamala Harris have enough votes there at the end to pull that? And that's going to be it's the same type of thing with North Carolina and Georgia, those large population cities. Will there be enough for Kamala Harris? Trump in North Carolina is ahead by 100 and like 40,000, 88% reporting, and Trump ahead in Georgia with what is that, about 150,000, 2.48 million to 2.34 million. Yeah, have you seen any surprises here? Have you seen any surprises in any of these states? Yeah, let me know how you guys voted in the chat if you want to. Let me know if you voted at all. Did you guys vote today or did you vote earlier? Was there long lines? Yeah, Laurel's father-in-law voted today and he said there was no line at all. He literally went in there and there was no line at all. He got right in and just walked right through. Yeah, so another state is Michigan. Donald Trump is leading by about 90,000 votes in Michigan. So Donald Trump currently leading most of these swing states. So we will see if he holds them near the end when the larger population cities. I voted from Germany. Wow, that must have been a long mail-in ballot. I assume that's what you did. 2 hour line there. Wow, where was that line from? That's a long line. I think that's why a lot of people don't want to vote on election days because of the long lines. But on election day, they have a lot of other areas you can vote in. And I think that's why maybe you can go and not get the um, uh, long lines sometimes. When will we know the final results? It really just depends. I mean, we've been getting results here by the minute. So it really just depends. We're getting some results here as we're watching here. Kamala Harris just got a big jump here with a couple states here on the West Coast. And Donald Trump has kind of slowed down here. Donald Trump had a lot of states here, but he's slowed down. I voted for Diddy. Oh boy. Yeah. Laurel thinks that Diddy is in some deep doo-doo. Yeah, Laurel thinks that Diddy has no chance. You guys can let me know your thoughts on that, but Yeah, so 214 and 179. Same here from the Associated Press. Donald Trump with still about a 6 million vote, popular vote lead here. That's very strong for Donald Trump. It's very strong. California's got 3% of the votes coming in now. Yeah, more than half the states across the countries have their polls closed now. It's the West Coast that maybe have a few open, with them being what, 8 o'clock there? Yeah, the war situation has just been ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. You know, my current thoughts are I just don't think Donald Trump is gonna be able to get us out of the war in one day. Um, we'll see, but I just don't think that Putin is gonna back down so easily. I just think that Vladimir Putin is just he's a thug that's just out of control, and he's just unless Ukraine is going to give up their land, which they don't want to do. We will see, but and if they do, then they're gonna all those poor Ukrainian souls are gonna go right into Vladimir Putin's army and be just meat shields. Okay, so something was added to Trump's total here. Um, I think, okay, so Utah was added to Trump's total here with 0% reporting. So 0% reporting here, and Utah is added to Trump's total here. So 6 electoral votes there. So that's another one of those states there and where they do that. And Idaho added to Trump's total here as well. 4 electoral votes there and only 16% reporting there. 69,000 votes for Trump and 57,000 for Kamala Harris. Another one here is Wyoming with 3 electoral votes for Donald Trump. He's got a pretty big lead. There's 64,000 votes to 18,000, only 28% reporting. Montana for Trump, only 4 electoral votes and only 6% reporting. So you can see these are pretty early responses there. Wow, Oklahoma has 99% reporting already. Well, good for them. It's interesting how you see almost the whole middle of the country red here. And then you see like huge pockets of blue here on the eastern board. All these I'll say little states just because they're all packed in here. All blue here. And there's some of them you can't even really see here, but there's a lot of population here on a lot of these states here. Like New Jersey, 14 electoral votes, New York 28, Connecticut 7, Massachusetts 11. Um, and they're all blue. But then you look at this huge amount of area here in the middle, which red. But some of these states, like Nebraska, only has 5, Iowa 6, South Dakota only has 3, North Dakota only has 3 as well. you know. So, and Montana only has 4 and Wyoming only has 3. So you can add up all these states right here and it would only equal like one of these states of a state over here like New Jersey, which has 14. Yeah. Why are different channels having wildly different statistics? Which is accurate? Okay, so the reason is because some of this stuff is predictive reporting. So 230 for Trump, 230 for Trump, 179. So as I said here, so like some of these states are Montana is being given to Trump here with 6% reporting. Okay. Um, Utah is being given to Trump here with 0% reporting. Okay. So they're giving Trump the state of Utah with 0% of the vote reporting. And also, they gave California and Washington state to Kamala with 0% of the reporting. Now, it did turn out that way so far. Kamala is leading California hugely, 60% to 36%. She's winning by 700,000 votes so far. And she's winning Washington state by 500,000 votes. Okay. So the predictive reporting was right. Okay. Utah's at 0% reporting and they're giving it to Trump. So based on the early polls, which is basically polling voters, how they're going to vote, they're predicting that Utah is going to go to Donald Trump. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to go that way because it's 0% reporting so far for Utah. Okay. If Utah doesn't, if 10 or 20 or 30, 40, 50% of the vote comes in and Utah says, uh-oh, it's not going to Donald Trump, it's a dead even, or even Kamala Harris is starting to lead, they'll take the 6 electoral votes off the board and they'll subtract it from Trump's total and they'll say, oh, now it's neutral, it's dead even, or even add them to Kamala Harris's total. Okay. Because of the way the votes are going. But right now, you know, Google and the Associated Press are both giving, that state of Utah to Donald Trump with 0% of the reporting. Okay. So I know it's funny how they can do that with 0% of the reporting. So that's because they're predicting that that state will go to Donald Trump. They did that with California and they did that with Washington. So I'll keep you up to date here as actual votes come in, and we will see. So yeah, it's kind of funny they can do that with 0% of the reporting, but that's just what is expected to happen. That's what is expected to happen. Kamala Harris has picked up 1 million votes. Trump's lead on the popular vote has gone from 6 million votes down to 5 million votes. So, and that's because California is starting to come in, and then also maybe some of the eastern larger cities are starting to come in here as well. We look at Georgia, 91% of the reporting is in. Donald Trump's still leading, 2.55 million votes to 2.41. So he's still holding that there. North Carolina now being reported as called for Donald Trump. This is with 89% reported. Okay. 2.57 million votes for North Carolina and 2.43 for Kamala Harris. So they're currently, now the Associated Press is currently saying that they're calling it for Donald Trump. This is one of those situations where in another 20 or 30 minutes, they could say, you know what? even though we said we called it for Donald Trump, in an hour or half an hour or even tomorrow, they could say, you know what, it may be too close to call. But right now, Donald Trump is winning North Carolina by about 140,000 votes, 2.57 to 2.43, with 89% of the reporting. So there is still 11% more of the reporting in North Carolina to come. And a lot of the times you do see that last 5% or 10% may be the larger cities, and when we zoom in here to the larger cities, Charlotte, North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, Fayetteville, North Carolina, you look here and those are blue cities. Those are Democrat cities. The larger cities, the larger population cities are the ones that typically take the longest time to count because they're the largest population cities. So when you have a city that's 500,000 people or several hundred thousand people or even a million people, those are going to typically take the longest time to count as opposed to rural cities that only have thousands to count. So hope that makes sense there. And that's why you get people complaining, why did Joe Biden or why did Kamala Harris come from behind at the last minute? Just so that makes sense to people. If that's because if you see these larger cities that are Democrat, that are blue, that's why that may possibly happen. Okay. But North Carolina currently being called for Donald Trump. Like I said, he's performing very well. I honestly don't see Kamala Harris performing very well anywhere that she's really expected to. She's not really overperforming in many areas. They did call Oregon for Kamala Harris. So you got to get to 270. You got to get to 270. So nobody has won yet. So nobody has won yet. Yeah, so Georgia at 91% reporting, Donald Trump leading by about 135,000 votes, 2.55 million to 2.41 million. But remember, you're probably still going to see votes coming in for Atlanta and Savannah and Augusta. So, I'll keep you up to date here on that. Pennsylvania, only 76% reporting for Pennsylvania. Trump is leading by 200, not quite, about 180,000 votes, 51% to 48%. But again, the same type of thing here. The larger cities like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are going to be the ones that Kamala Harris could come back on. Those, I think Pittsburgh, somebody would have to look it up here, but the metro area of Pittsburgh has like over 1 million people. The metro area, the whole surrounding area, and I think Philadelphia has huge population areas, and as you can see, those are the blue Democrat areas. So that's where the race will get tight because Trump is leading those areas, but that's where Kamala Harris could come back to make it closer. So it has not been called yet. Has not been called yet for Pennsylvania. But as I said, Trump is performing very well. Very well. They're calling it for North Carolina, giving him the state so far. Georgia he's leading, and Pennsylvania he's leading. He's leading in Michigan as well, and Wisconsin. Wisconsin he's up by about 70,000 votes, 51% to almost 48%. So, yeah, very close. Arizona has basically just stopped counting votes, it looks like. Um, Almost in a dead heat, 904,000 and 902,000. Yeah, so we will see. The one of the I see somebody said we will get stimulus when Trump takes the House. One of the things that we will probably see if Trump takes the House is the Trump tax cuts. Trump wants to renew the Trump tax cuts, and the Democrats don't really want to renew it. The Trump tax cuts basically lower the taxes, all the tax brackets, basically. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there without me being able to bring it up and go through all of it and hundreds, thousands of pages probably. But it basically lowers all of the tax brackets for all the Americans. And the Democrats don't want to do it. And you see this a lot with both sides where the Democrats don't want to renew anything that has like a Trump name in it, and the other side too. The Trump doesn't want to renew or do anything that has a Democrat name in it. For example, Obamacare. You know, Republicans don't like anything that has a Democrat name in it, like Obamacare, or vice versa. I can't even think of anything else that comes off the top of my head. But the Democrats don't really want to renew the Trump tax cuts. But the Trump tax cuts do lower all the tax brackets, and they come up um, in about 12 months. And I think it's the end of 2025, I think it is. So in 12 months, um, those come up for renewal, and the Democrats don't really want to renew that. And that would basically raise the tax brackets for everybody, for everybody. So that would be a hard pill to swallow. So the Democrats, Kamala Harris, just picked up, I think it was New Mexico or Colorado and New Mexico or something like one of these two. They just awarded to um, her. So she has New Mexico here with 51% of the vote to 46% of the vote for Donald Trump, with 73% reporting. And then she has Colorado here as well with 55% of the vote to 42 to 43% of the vote for Donald Trump. So 430 electoral votes for Donald Trump to 192 for Kamala Harris. The popular vote is almost 58 million for Donald Trump to 53 for Kamala Harris. So just under 5 million more votes for Donald Trump. But he's been losing ground there. He was at 6 million and now he's at about 4.8 million. So she's starting to gain in votes. And the reason is there's because California and also maybe those larger cities that typically tend to be Democrat and take longer to count, just because of the larger population there. Yeah. I wonder what's going on in Arizona. It's just a very tight race, and they have not updated in forever. They're 49.7% of the vote for Donald Trump and 49.5% of the vote for Kamala Harris. They have not updated forever. Nevada has no results in at all. Yeah, 6 electoral votes for Nevada. A high percentage of the voters identify as nonpartisan for Nevada. Hawaii, man, I don't even think their polls are closed. Yeah, we won't even get Hawaii results for a while. We do love Hawaii, though. If you're from Hawaii, aloha, or even if you're not, aloha. It's my mom calls it God's country in there. So beautiful. Yeah, if you guys get a chance, follow us on our new platforms. We have a TikTok, Instagram, Twitter/X, and Facebook as well. So if you're on any of those platforms, hey Laura, if you get a chance, see if you can post the link from our description in the chat. I have the link in the description. So Donald Trump's still holding on to Georgia and Pennsylvania. Those are going to be the two very key states. That's 16 votes and 19 votes. That's 35 votes. So if he wins Pennsylvania and Georgia, that would put him at 265 if he wins Pennsylvania and Georgia, guys. If Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania and Georgia, he's at 265. He would basically only have to win one more state. Pennsylvania, Georgia, and one more state. If you guys are following me here, okay? So if he wins Pennsylvania, Georgia, and one more state, Trump would have the win. So if he wins Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Michigan, or Wisconsin, or Arizona, he has it. Kamala Harris has to get a big sweep going here to win. Okay? She's got to start turning some of these states that Trump has the lead in, like Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Now remember, she's gonna start pulling some of these votes though in these larger cities because when you look at any one of these states, she's got the blue Democrat vote in all of these major cities. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Erie's not that big of a city. I know Pennsylvania. Um, our limo company used to go there. But you look at any one of these major cities or any one of these major states here, all of these major cities are blue in every state. Okay. So when it takes time to count the million votes that come out of Atlanta or however large it is, that's where Kamala Harris is going to pick up votes. And that's why Georgia has 91% reporting. That's where the vote is going to get close. Okay. Savannah, Georgia, Atlanta, this whole Atlanta area, the whole metro area of Atlanta is there. Okay. So you can see that that's not just Atlanta, it's all the surrounding counties. Look at that, guys. Look at how much that is. That's a lot. So that's where you would typically see um, that Kamala Harris could pick up votes. And she has to pick up a lot of states to catch up with Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump is currently leading here. Yeah, so that is true. I reported this. 75 million people voted early, but remember, they didn't count those votes, okay? They voted early, And that's between the two candidates. That's not just for one person. Okay. But they didn't count the votes. And I don't know why they do that. I have a suspect is that they don't want to sway voters. Okay. So the reason is, let's just say if you look here, there's actually 53, almost 54 million votes for Kamala Harris and 58, almost 59 million votes for Trump. That's like 110, 100 and I don't know, what is that? Almost 120 million votes there, okay? That are counted, okay? And mail-in votes. And the reason I think that they don't report early voting is that here's another perfect example. Let's take Texas and California as an example. Let's say Texas counted all their early voting a week ahead of time, and they started reporting a week ahead of time. Texas is 75% Republican, just as an example here. All the Democrats might go and say, oh, the Republicans already have it. We're not going to go vote. Okay. And then people that are on the other party might not go vote. And then vice versa in California. Okay. If the Republicans in California see that the Democrats are already winning, the other party might not go vote. And I think that's why they don't report the early voting. They only report the number of early voting. So they reported that there's 75 million votes that have been cast, but they don't count them. And they don't report who they've been reported for. Okay, they don't report Trump's winning, Harris is winning, or this senator's winning, that senator's winning, or something along those lines. Okay, because it'll sway voters to vote or not vote, or something along those lines. Yeah, I hope that makes sense because if somebody sees that, you know, uh, the other party's winning a lot, they might not want to go vote there. Yeah, so some tight House races here or Senate races here. Ohio has a very close Senate race. Bernie Moreno wins the Ohio Senate race, flips the seat to Republican Party with 92% reporting. Wow. Wow, that's a big one. Sherrod Brown has been the Ohio senator for many, many years, and I don't even know how many years, but apparently Bernie Moreno has won with what percent of the vote? 92% reporting. The AP has called this. Wow. Wow. Trying to see what other ones. Here's another close one here. Maryland. Angela also Brooks wins. This over Larry Hogan. Wow. The former governor of Maryland is going to lose, it looks like. Wow. Wow. So Larry Hogan, the former governor of Maryland, is looking like he's going to lose. The Associated Press has called the race that the Democrat, Angela Also Brooks, is going to beat the former governor, Larry Hogan. Wow. Wow. That looks like an upset there. You can let me know your thoughts for that one. Pennsylvania Senate race has not been called yet. Very close here. Republican Dave McCormick is beating the current incumbent, the current senator, Democrat Bob Casey by about 100,000 votes, 2.81 million to 2.7 million. But they haven't called it yet. 81% reporting. And that could be another case where we might see these Democrat votes from these big cities still being counted, only 81% reporting. That could be an upset there, though, as the Republican is currently beating the current Democratic senator there. Ted Cruz is looking like he's going to win again. Yeah, he's winning by 1,000,000 votes. Rick Scott from Florida, yeah, he won pretty handily too there. Okay, so we're looking like Arizona's updated their election results a little bit. Trump's up by 7,000 votes. Very, very close. Georgia's reporting's kind of stalled. Trump winning by 140,000 votes. Pennsylvania, Trump up by 220,000 votes. He's holding strong there, man. He really is. He's holding strong in Georgia, too, as well. We have not seen Kamala Harris come back. Now, Kamala Harris has picked up votes here, 205 to 230. So what did they add on the board here for Kamala Harris? 205 to 230. What did they add on the board here for her? Is it Virginia? Did she have Virginia before? Well, they're giving her Virginia 83% reporting, 1.97 to 1.82, and Oregon 60% reporting, about 800,000 to 615,000. So the race is looking kind of close here now, 205 to 230. The problem here for Kamala is that Kamala is not leading in any of the swing states. And that, Laurel says, Republicans gain control in the Senate. All right, so here's the Senate race here. Republican Party has gained 2 seats, and they already have 50. So it looks like the Democrats have lost 2 seats in the Senate, The Republicans gained 50. It says 50 for majority, but, well, do you really need 51 for majority? Hmm. We will see, right? So the Republicans would really probably like to win one more. And also remember that, there is the 60-seat filibuster for the majority of the votes, really almost all the votes for the Senate, which they're not going to get because the Democrats already have 41. Okay. So, but remember here is that if if the Republicans get the House too, that could be something really interesting. U.S. House race results. Let's see here. So the Republicans have gained one seat in the House, and Democrats have lost two in the House. I got to tell you, man, the red wave is really starting to take place, man. It really does not look like the Democrats are performing anywhere. Anywhere. I mean, let me know your thoughts here in the comments. But I don't see Democrats performing well in many areas here. The Democrats have lost two House seats. The Republicans have gained a House seat. In addition to this, the Republicans have gained at least two Senate seats, maybe one more. The Democrats have lost two Senate seats. Maybe they have 51 Senate seats as well. And Donald Trump is also, we have 230 to 205 here, electoral college results here. But Donald Trump is leading in four major swing states here: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia. Now, Kamala Harris is probably going to pick up some late votes here with the large cities taking a lot of time to count the large population votes, which typically, as we've been looking here, are blue Democrat large population areas like Atlanta, like Philadelphia, like Pittsburgh. But Donald Trump is having he's having a good showing, holding ground. 93% in Georgia reporting. And Donald Trump still has a commanding lead of 130,000 vote lead. So Donald Trump is performing very, very well. And these four swing states are a huge problem for Kamala Harris here. If Trump wins Georgia and Pennsylvania and any other one state, he's won the presidency. So Pennsylvania, Georgia, and any other one state, he wins it. You got to get to 270 here. So Georgia and Pennsylvania are worth 35 votes. That would take you to 265. Michigan's worth 15. Wisconsin's worth 10. Arizona's worth 11. Nevada is not not even reporting anything. So yeah, I was talking to my neighbor here, and he said that he thinks that Kamala Harris made a huge, huge mistake by not picking the governor of Pennsylvania as his vice president. And that could have possibly swayed Pennsylvania to, have more votes to maybe vote for her, you know, and that could have maybe swayed the election for her. And by her not doing that, um, could have possibly lost her the election. You look at Pennsylvania as a 19 votes one way or the other. That's a 38 vote swing one way or the other. Because if Trump wins it, it's 19. Where if Kamala Harris wins it, it's 19 for her. That's 38 votes one way or the other. That's why a lot of people are saying that Pennsylvania could be the deciding factor. I mean, we will see. But had she have picked the governor of Pennsylvania, they may have got enough votes to win Pennsylvania, but she didn't. And if Pennsylvania turns red, she might lose. Again, that was just my neighbor's thought, but we'll see. Currently, Donald Trump is losing. Or, I'm sorry, Donald Trump is winning, Kamala Harris is losing, and that could be the downfall for her, losing that state. You know, yeah. Donald Trump, chose J.D. Vance to secure Ohio, and he did big time. I don't know if he needed it to secure Ohio, but he did. And it was interesting because, J.D. Vance has had some negative past comments to Trump, and he still chose J.D. Vance. I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, but he went with J.D. Vance anyways. Yeah, I just don't see Kamala gaining enough ground here. Yes, Annette says Nevada's do, polls don't close until 10 p.m. their time. Oh, okay, interesting. That's what? That's probably another hour, I think. Yeah, the problem with, as Laurel says, is she thinks the Democrats should have switched from Biden a long time ago if they wanted a better chance at winning. That's the problem, as I was talking about, is that all these old senators, House representatives, governors, presidents, anybody, right? They all think they're fine in their 80s or even upper 70s, whatever, right? They all think they're fine. And that's the problem with not having age limits there, right? They all think they're fine. Look at Mitch McConnell, you know, any of these guys, right? Bernie Sanders gonna get reelected here. He's 83, I think it said. He's gonna get 6 more years and be there till he's 89. Whether you're for Bernie Sanders, against them, it's irrelevant. But having an 89-year-old senator is kind of wild. Kind of wild. Should 89-year-old senators be there? Shouldn't that not be a thing? Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right? So Donald Trump's overall popular lead has gone down from 6 million down to 4 million. So Kamala Harris is gaining in the popular vote. That's either due to California, or it's due to the large population cities slowly getting counted. So Kamala Harris, the overall popular vote is now 61.4 million for Donald Trump to 57.2 million for Kamala Harris. The problem here is that she is behind in all the swing states. All the swing states. Donald Trump could honestly win all of these swing states, and he would easily get to 270 to win. He's winning Wisconsin 1.3 million, 1.32 million to 1.22 million for Kamala Harris, with 76% reporting. That's 10 electoral votes. Michigan, 45% reporting. That's 15 electoral votes. And that is 1.35 million for Donald Trump and 1.22 million for Kamala Harris. Pennsylvania has 83% reporting, 19 electoral votes, 3.01 million votes for Donald Trump, and 2.79 million for Kamala Harris. 79 million. Okay. And Georgia, 93% reporting for Georgia, 2.6 million for Donald Trump, 2.48 million for Kamala Harris. So yeah, she's got catching up to do in all of these. Will she be able to do it? You know, it's these larger cities, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, you know, which she could do. That is where she's actually expected to get the votes. You know, you look at Wisconsin here, you know, Green Bay, Madison, Milwaukee. You can see in every one of these states, those larger cities are blue Democrat cities. So, you know, and those typically be the cities that take larger to take longer to count because they're larger populations. So if you got to count 500,000 votes or a million votes or you know however many votes are there, you would think it just takes longer to count, right? Versus you know a city with 10 or 20 or 30,000, right? Or 50,000 or whatever it may be, right? So yeah, and that's where you're going to see the comments like, how did the Democrats gain all those votes at the end? You know, Donald Trump had a commanding lead. That's how it's going to happen because it's just you can just see from there that those are the areas that are blue, right? Yeah, you know, and honestly, you don't get this type of reporting from mainstream reporting because you know you're either listening to Fox News or CNN or whatnot, you know, and you know you're just hearing whatever. Right? I just try to give realistic reporting. I just try to give the reality of things, you know. But right now, Kamala Harris is behind on all this stuff, but she's behind in all of the swing states. But she has a chance because of those larger cities that are all blue Democrat. But she's behind in all of these swing states. She has not had a good showing. She has not had a good showing. But there's a chance. It kind of reminds me of that movie or that meme where they say, "So you're saying there's a chance? So you're saying there's a chance?" But she hasn't performed well. Honestly, the Republicans have performed well. They've taken the Senate, as you can see here. I think Laurel said that somebody was reporting that the Republicans have maybe gotten 51 seats. We'll see what happens there in the Senate. The House, still a lot to go for the House reporting. But okay, so look, here's you can see here. Here's an example here. This was previously reported here that the the Democrats had lost 2 seats for the House, and now they've changed it to only 1. So there's an example of where they've taken something off the board. So maybe there was something there that the Democrats had lost 2 seats, and now they've changed it to, oops, we're going to change that result to something that now it's a little closer than what we thought. So now we're going to change it to, we don't think that the Democrats have maybe lost that seat. Now it's a little closer, and now we've changed it to, we're not sure who's going to win that result. So there's an example of where this is from the Associated Press, which is a neutral, they don't lean left, they don't lean right. It's just kind of pretty neutral. And so now they're reporting that the Democrats have lost 1 seat and the Republicans have gained 1 seat in the House of Representatives. Yeah. So let me see if I can get here. Let me see here. U.S. Governor. Okay, so U.S. Governor races here. If you guys are looking for this here. Vermont, currently Republican Phil Scott winning, 95% reporting. They've called it for him. New Hampshire, Kelly Ayotte, 78% winning. They're calling it for her. West Virginia reporting. They're calling it for Patrick Morrisey. North Carolina calling it for Democrat Josh Stein, 92% reporting. Delaware calling it for the Democrat Matt Meyer, 88% reporting. Indiana, 87% reporting, calling it for Mike Braun. Missouri, calling it for the Republican Mike Kehoe, 83% reporting. North Dakota, 98% reporting for Kelly Armstrong, the Republican. Montana, only 14% reporting, but they're calling it for Greg Gianforte, 64%. He has only 14% reporting. Washington State, 59% reporting, calling it for the Democrat Bob Ferguson. Everything else is, there's no race for a lot of these. Utah, only 1% is in. I'm surprised that there's not more governor races going on. Interesting. Okay. So Kamala Harris must have picked up. Oh, okay. So they gave they gave Hawaii to Kamala Harris, even though there's 0% reporting. So Hawaii must be just a typically blue Democrat state, even though there's 0% reporting. So I wouldn't get too excited about that, but that's what they're doing. Okay, so Trump's still holding pretty strong here. 84% in Pennsylvania. He's still up by about 150,000 votes with 84% reporting. Georgia, 93% reporting. He's at 2.6 million votes to 2.48 for Kamala Harris. 230 electoral votes for Trump and 210 for Kamala Harris. It looks close. The problem with Kamala Harris is that she's got these 4 swing states that she's losing. Arizona, Donald Trump is winning by about 9,000 votes. That's a very close one. 50% reporting. So Donald Trump's winning Wisconsin by 100,000 votes, 77% reporting, 10 electoral votes there. Michigan, 48% reporting. Donald Trump is winning by 175,000 votes, 52% to 46%, 48% reporting. Pennsylvania, 85% reporting. 3.07 million for Donald Trump votes to Kamala Harris's 2.9 million. So Donald Trump again winning by, what is that, like 170,000 votes, 85% reporting. If Donald Trump wins Georgia and Pennsylvania, he's only got to win one other state. I'm not sure how many electoral votes Alaska is, so maybe not Alaska. Alaska might be a real small amount, but Pennsylvania and Georgia is worth 35 votes, and that takes him to 265. So 265, you got to get to 270. So somebody's got to get to 270 to win. You can't win without getting to 270. The popular vote is Donald Trump at 62 million, and Kamala Harris is just shy of 58 million. So Donald Trump has a little bit over a 4 million vote lead for the popular vote. Yeah, okay, so there we're seeing now that the Republicans have gained control of the Senate with 51 votes. Now remember, this is just like, I don't know what they call this. This is like a simple majority of the Senate, because remember, you really need 60 votes for most votes, the filibuster vote. But like um, Chuck Shoemaker, um, the Republicans. This not it's off the top of my head as I'm losing it there, but the Republicans will gain control of the Senate. God, I hope it's not Mitch McConnell there. No, I don't think it will be Mitch McConnell. The Republicans will choose a leader for the Senate. I don't think it'll be Mitch McConnell. No, it won't be Mitch McConnell. They'll have to choose somebody else there. But they have got 51 seats there. So, but remember, you need 60 votes for almost every bill that passes, unless they get control of the House and the Senate. Then they can do those reconciliation bills. Remember that the Democrats passed a stimulus check bill where they were able to pass the House, the Senate, and the presidency. If you control the House, the Senate, and the presidency, You can do those reconciliation bills where the kind of one or two off bills if you control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. As you can see here, the Republicans are currently controlling the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And back when former President Donald Trump actually controlled, back in 2016, if I recall correctly, they actually, in the first term of his presidency, controlled the House, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So yeah, if I recall correctly, they had they that's funny there in the chat until my eyes roll back. Yeah, yeah, we're night owls. We don't normally go to bed super early. Yeah. I kind of always have been, man. I've always been an internet guy, and I've just never been an early to bed type of guy. Yeah. Yeah. So as you can see, man, like I said, the Democrats, yeah, and again, I'm just a realist here. I'm just calling it as I see it here. Democrats just are not performing well. You know, they're currently they've lost the Senate, and again, these things could change, right? Because these are just predictive results, right? Um, but as of right now, the current results are calling that the Republicans have gotten 51 seats. Um, Unless they take something off the board, that's enough for control. Now, that's not 60 seats. That's not enough to pass bills just all by themselves with the 60, but that is enough for them to, be leader of the Senate. Okay. Um, they need 218 votes or 218 seats for control of the House. So they don't have that yet. But they did gain one seat in the House. Now remember though that they had control of the House to begin with. So um, if all the results keep coming in, I think that they can potentially hold control of the House because they already had control of the House. They've gained one seat and lost. The Republicans gained one seat, and Democrats lost one seat. So as of right now, the Republicans, it looks like a red wave. The red wave that was supposed to be 2 years ago is forming now. Yeah, so far, so far. We will see as the other late large city reporting comes in. Let me know your thoughts. What you think. Oh, thank you, David. Thank you, everybody who's been a long time viewer here. I love you guys so much. I know a lot of you guys have been watching us here for a long, long time. You guys are amazing. And thank you so much. We love you guys. Yeah. Yeah, Julian actually starts wrestling practice tomorrow. His first wrestling practice tomorrow for the year. All right, so let's see here. So Trump up by 13,000 votes in Arizona. He's still holding strong in Wisconsin, 80% reporting. He's up by 100,000 votes, 51% to 47%, 1.37 million to 1.27 million. Michigan is very slow on reporting, 52% reporting. Trump is up 1.58 million to 1.4 million. So he's up by 188,000 votes. Seems like a pretty decent amount, but it's 52% to 46%. In Pennsylvania, thank you so much, everybody there in the chat. Jacob, everybody. You guys are all awesome here. Mark, Don. Okay, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump 3.09 million to Kamala 2.92. And Georgia 2.60 to 2.48 million. So it looks like about 120,000 vote lead for Georgia, 93% reporting. 93% reporting for Georgia, 86% reporting for Pennsylvania. Oh, thank you, Candace. You guys are awesome. I know. I think about all the things that we've reported on over the years, all the craziness. It just shows you how crazy our country is, right? Unbelievable. Every day when we wake up, I never know I never know what I'm going to be talking about. It's always something different, right? I wonder, are any of these governor races surprises? None of them look that close. Hi, Pam. Yeah, definitely. I think once I build up my following on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, I think it's going to start bringing in a lot of new people. U.S. House race, Republican. U.S. Senate race, Republican. President race, so far, Republican. Very interesting, man. Hello, Jamie. Hello, Byron. Yeah, yeah. The red wave, man. I think that even a lot of the Republicans weren't expecting a red wave like this. I mean, maybe if you're a hardcore Republican and you're always thinking that there's going to be a red wave, right? But I don't even know if a lot of Republicans were thinking that it was going to be like this. Now we'll have to see what the actual end results are going to be, right? But it looks like the Republicans have secured the Senate with 51 seats, so that will give them the majority. the Republican House, all they have to do is hold on to the majority there. And they've already gained one seat, and the Democrats have lost one seat. But they have to get all the way to 218 seats. Okay. So they still have a ways to go. So there's still quite a ways there. Quite a ways there. Yeah. Wow, you're on your lunch break. Do you work the night shift or are you in Hawaii? Hello, Robin and Robin. There's two Robins. What do they say? Two Robins make a right? Oh, yeah, maybe you're a nurse or something along those lines. Are you working like a 18 or 24-hour shift? Yeah, let me know in the chat section. What are you guys doing? Are you at home just watching? Or are you out at work or something? My one neighbor is a doctor and she works like Laurel can weigh in on this more, but she works like 24-hour shifts in the NICU with babies that are like just born. Yeah. So she's literally there saving babies' lives. Just hanging around. Where's that meme? Just hanging around. All right. So Kamala Harris, does anybody here think that Kamala Harris, her path to victory is going to be difficult? No, most of the Taylor Swift fans are younger girls, I would say. Would you agree? And women, you know. I think it's a different demographic. It's a different demographic. And also J-Lo was pushing for Kamala Harris and so was Katy Perry. So honestly, I think that Kamala Harris got a lot of the women vote, and I think that Trump got a lot of the male vote, a lot of the men vote. Um, and again, you just see a lot of um, I think of the disparity in this country is just a lot of it's just so divided. And I think you see that with the women's choice issue, you see a lot of disparity there. Um, I think it's weird that the government wants to control women's bodies. The government would tell a woman what to do. Um, really, really kind of strange there. Have we ever had a tie? I don't think you can have a tie. I don't think there's enough electoral votes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it would come down to 270 to 269. Um, Somebody might know, but can you have a tie? I think it would come down to 270 to 269. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why you got to get to 270 because once you get to 270, you have enough to win. And the other person could win everything else and they would get to 269. I think that is the case. I don't think Oprah would go for Trump. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Well, see, not as divided as you think with the red wave, but see here, look at the popular vote, right? 63.5 million red votes to 59 million blue votes, right? So it's basically 63 to 59 million. And California is still counting all their votes, only 43 million reporting for California. So you're going to see a lot more blue votes come in there, you know. So we'll see. I think that Donald Trump's gonna he's looking, I don't want to call anything here, but Donald Trump is looking very strong with these four swing states. He's looking very strong. Thanks for the comments, guys. You guys are amazing. But honestly, this will be the first election in a while that if Trump holds off with the um, popular vote, that the Republicans win a popular vote. But California still got over half of their reporting to vote. And remember, they got like 40 million votes. So we'll see on that. We'll see on that. So they have like, let me see here. Kamala has like a 1 point, what is that? Like a 1.7, 1.8 million vote lead in California with 43% reporting. So if she gets another 2 million votes there, yeah, it's going to be close on the popular vote. But again, the popular vote really doesn't mean much. Yeah, so man, the Republicans could honestly win the House, the Senate, and the presidency, which means that they can pass bills via reconciliation. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that that means that they can bypass the filibuster. I think that's how the Republicans passed the Trump tax cuts um, in the first like semester or whatever you want to call it when Trump was president um, to pass the Trump tax cuts. And that's also how the Democrats passed one of the stimulus checks. So that and you can do that with only the 51 votes here in the Senate. So uh, yeah, be aware of that. I remember reporting on that. So you can do that to bypass the 60 votes, and you can honestly, obviously, only put some things in the bill there. It has to do with like budgeting and stuff like that for the government and stuff, or stuff like that. It has to. I can't even remember all the details. It's been a while since I reported on that, but it's so far this red wave is materializing. And honestly, I don't think anybody was even talking about a red wave before today. Was there even talk about a red wave? I know there was 2 years ago, there was talk about a red wave, but I don't even know if there was talk about a red wave here for today, until now. Yeah. Time to finish the wall. Wasn't the wall finished? I mean, have they not finished the wall? I mean, I remember reporting that even Biden, after he got so much criticism, even patched some holes in the wall, and he tried to get some pats on the back for doing it. But um, is there parts of the wall that's not finished? Thank you, Bobby. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys that have been watching for a long time. You guys are amazing. Okay, so Georgia's at 93% reporting, 2.6 million. Kamala Harris at 2.48. That still only brings it down to about a 2% difference. Pennsylvania, 86% reporting, 51% for Donald Trump, 48% for Kamala Harris. 3.15 million votes for Donald Trump. Okay, wait, it just updated. Pennsylvania, let's re-say this. Pennsylvania at 87% reporting, 19 electoral votes there, 51% for Donald Trump, 3.16 million votes for Donald Trump. Kamala Harris basically at 3 million, okay? Michigan at 56% reporting, 15 electoral votes, 1.74 million for Donald Trump, Kamala Harris at 1.52. Okay. Wisconsin, 51% for Donald Trump, 47% for Kamala Harris, 83% reporting, 1.43 million for Wisconsin, for Donald Trump, and 1.32 million for Kamala Harris, 83% reporting, 10 electoral votes. What is that? About 110,000 lead. And in Arizona, 11 electoral votes, 51% reporting. Boy, they are really slow at updating. I almost think that they have like stopped counting votes in Arizona. I don't know what they're doing. 923,000 votes for Donald Trump. Kamala Harris, 910,000 votes. I mean, California is going to pass them, and they have like, I don't know, 5 times more population, 4 times more. And, they're farther west. Arizona's just like completely stopped. Kamala Harris is in trouble, guys. The Republicans are going to win the Senate with 51 seats at least. And they need 218 for the majority of the House. Remember, they had majority of the House. So they've gained 1 seat and taken 1 seat from the Democrats. They're currently at 182. So the Republicans are looking pretty darn good. Why is Minnesota a different color? Minnesota's blue because they voted Democrat. Do you guys have snow yet? No, we have had amazing weather. It was like 70 some degrees today and windy. Okay, so somebody said look at NBC election results. They have 246 for Donald Trump and 189 for Kamala Harris. So here's where you can get like different results from different places. So what are they calling here? 246. What are they calling here differently? Wow, they're saying that 98% is in for Georgia. Associated Press is only saying that 94% is in for Georgia. So, okay, so NBC News is saying that 98% of the vote is in for Georgia, and they're giving it to Donald Trump. Okay, so that's interesting. Kamala Harris says that she will not address her supporters tonight, her campaign co-chair says. All right. Yeah. So they're giving Donald Trump Georgia, but again, that's a predictive result. But that's what 98% in, according to NBC. According to Associated Press, 94% is in. So that's that's a big deal. Trump wins Georgia, that's a big deal. It does look like it's heading that way. He's up it with according to NBC, he's up 2.63 million votes to 2.50 with 98% in. He's also won North Carolina as well. In Michigan, he's still winning by about 200,000 votes with 59% in. NBC News exit poll, Trump wins more voters under 30 than any Republican presidential candidate. And that's probably ever. I can't see the rest of it. Wisconsin, Trump is winning by about 100,000 votes with 84% in. Wow, this is interesting. So NBC News actually has Minnesota too close to call with 64% in, with Kamala Harris up by about 58,000 votes, which is about 3%. This is NBC. Trump is up in in Pennsylvania by 200,000 votes with 92% in on NBC. On Associated Press in Pennsylvania, 88% reporting. He's up by 165,000 votes with 90% reporting. This is Google / the Associated Press. Now remember, if Trump wins Georgia and Pennsylvania, NBC News is giving Trump Georgia with 98% of the vote in, according to them. If he wins Pennsylvania as well, which he's currently up by 200,000 votes with 92% of the votes in. So if he wins Pennsylvania as well, he only needs to win one more state and he will win the presidency. Because if he wins one more state, Pennsylvania is worth 19 electoral votes. So add 19 more votes to 246. So add 20 to 246 would be 266, minus 1 would be 265. He would only need one more state worth 5 votes to get to 270. So almost every state would be worth 5. Minnesota's worth 10, Wisconsin's worth 10, Michigan's worth 10, New Mexico's worth 5, Arizona's worth 11, Nevada's worth 6. Alaska's only worth 3, so he couldn't win just Alaska. But if he wins Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, in addition to Pennsylvania, and he still holds Georgia like he's being predicted to win with 98% in and 130,000 vote lead, then Trump will be the president. Yeah, so the Republicans honestly could win the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Honestly, I think it would be a good idea for 3 parties because then people would have another choice in a lot of different things. Senators, House reps, choosing between 80-year-olds and stuff, you know. Um, a lot of times people, I see sometimes it's a lot of comments of people saying we're stuck between 2 bad choices. Sometimes, you know, wouldn't it be nice if there was a third choice that was legitimate? The problem is that a lot of times the independent choice is a throwaway vote. They get 1% of the vote or something. Um, these 2 parties have a monopoly on the market. You know, so it would be nice to have a third party, and honestly, it would be nice if the third party was there and they worked with, So that's how I can't remember what country it is. There's it's France or something like that. There was like 5 different parties, and they had to work together to come together to pass bills and stuff like that. And a lot of times they'd have to make deals to get the consensus and stuff. So then there was more choices. Now maybe 5 parties is too many, but at least there was more than one, just left or right, Republican or Democrat, and two 80-year-olds, and or one extreme or the other, you know. And I think that's maybe the problem. And we're such a divided country because it's like this or that, and a lot of time it's you might not agree with either of them, or it's one extreme or the other, and that's kind of the problem. It's one side might be too polarizing, and you're like, well, I don't really want to go to the other side. It's just that's kind of the problem, you know. So, but the problem is that both these sides have too much. They have way too much money. They're way too strong. Both of these two parties are they're just way too strong for a third party to even form up. Is the kind of the problem here now in the United States. Kamala Harris wins in New Mexico. How a push for early voting may have helped Trump in Georgia. Have I ever thought about running for Senate? Absolutely not, because, um, yeah, going to work every day in the Senate and having people shoot at you and having to deal with that stuff, and it sounds absolutely miserable, doesn't it? Having to deal with that politics every day. Ah, doesn't that sound terrible? Having to deal with all that bureaucracy and Republicans and Democrats every day. And, like, can you imagine like bringing a bill to the floor that actually might help people, and then the other side just completely shuts you down? You can imagine that. Wouldn't that be terrible? Yeah, because that happens all the time, right? You would probably bring a good bill um, to the floor, and then the other side just completely votes against you, and you're like, yeah, that would be terrible. And the whole other side just votes against you just because you're from X party or Y party, right? Just now, Russia was accused of orchestrating bomb threats against polling sites in last week's election in Moldova. Imagine that. Doesn't it just sound like Russia? Good old Russia. Oh, now the Associated Press has given Georgia to Trump as well. Yeah, the other problem with being a politician is like everybody hates you, right? Who wants to be a politician, right? Like all they do is get bagged on, you know? Like it doesn't sound like a glorious job either, right? Like it sounds miserable. I feel like being the president nowadays doesn't even sound good. Like half the country hates you, right? You're a Republican, like all the Democrats hate you. You're a Democrat, all the Republicans hate you, right? And vice versa, right? And I mean, look at Trump. Like people are shooting at him like every other week. Like it just doesn't even sound like fun anymore, right? You grow up as a kid wanting to be a president, and look at what it is now, right? It doesn't even sound like our country's so divided, man. And then you got to deal with Iran and Russia and Putin and China, and the Middle East. It's like you want to really do good for our country, right? But then you got half the country that hates you just because of your party. like before he even sat in office, you know? And like the example would be like Marjorie Taylor Greene wanting to impeach Biden before before he even came in office, and vice versa. You know, they both parties do it to each other, right? You know, and they're like, I feel like they're gonna constantly try to impeach the president, no matter who it is, no matter who the president is. They're gonna constantly try to get impeached. Like this, and we must look like laughing stocks to other countries, right? Every president is going to get impeached, and now you got like Republicans are impeaching their own speakers. Their own Speaker of the House is getting impeached by their own party. You know, like, can you imagine being Kevin McCarthy and getting impeached by your own party, who just elected you? Like, I know, like, what a nightmare. All polls have officially closed 1 minute ago. There you go. Yeah, that's why I would never want to work for the government. And then, the other problem with working for the government is then, like, who knows, like, if you're working for the government and then you get wrapped up in whatever, right? And then all of a sudden they're trying to like throw you in prison, right? Like, just take, for example, Donald Trump, like 34, 43 felonies, or just whatever, like, or you're a senator, whatever, like, you're working for the government. All of a sudden, they're just trying to throw you in prison for this, that, and the other thing, just because you're like working for the government. It's just like something else, man, because you're working for the government. I feel like if you're a senator or a House of Representative or the president, like, they're going to try to, after Biden's out of office, they're going to try to hit him with all sorts of charges. I feel like being the president nowadays is like the other party's just always trying to get you now. Like, it's not like it used to be 10, 20 years ago. Now the other party is constantly trying to, like, smear you, but not like in a really bad way. Like, impeach you and almost throw you in jail. Like, it's like gotten really bad, you know. Like Trump's next 4 years, man, it's gonna be, if he's president, like, the way it's looking, he's gonna have a lot of turmoil, man. The Democrats are gonna be out to get him. When Biden gets out of office, man, I wouldn't be surprised if they're gonna try to hit him with charges for, who knows, the laptop and him being involved in that, or I don't even know, treason or whatnot, right? I just feel like we've become the divided states of America, and being a president nowadays it isn't even sacred. I feel like if you want to become a president, like, you're you're putting yourself in the line of fire, right? Look at what's happening now. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a congressman. I would be a good congressman in that I would really try to help bills that would help people, but then you'd have if I was blue or if I was red, either or, you'd instantly have all the other people that would hate you, you know? And the other problem is that I would really want to be independent, and then you can't vote against your party. You, like, always have to vote with your party, right? That's the other part that sucks, you know? Nevada passes abortion amendment. Let's see what this is. Well, first of all, Nevada passes amendment increasing voter ID requirements. First of all, I think everybody should have an ID when they go to vote, right? I just think that that's a no-brainer. You guys can let me know your thoughts on that. And they also passed Nevada Question 6, right to abortion. Yeah, I agree with you on the drug problem. We watch On Patrol Live on Reels. My wife records it, so we don't really watch it live, but we watch that. The drug problem in America is so bad with all that, you know, all the stuff that people take. It's so bad, so bad. Um, and I don't know if they need to stop it at the source or make the penalties harsher or what, but um, all right, Christian, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, they really got to. Oh, Arizona passes an abortion amendment now as well. Arizona and Nevada pass abortion amendment. Let me see here. So Arizona, right to abortion. Honestly, we're seeing a lot of states do this because women don't want to have government tell them what to do with their bodies. Even in red states, we're seeing more and more states do this. They don't want to have the government tell them what they can and cannot do with their bodies. So, um, yeah. So I'll tell you guys a little something. My wife had a miscarriage, um, like about maybe several months before we had Julian, and she it didn't all come out all the way, and she had to go to the doctor, and we were trying to get pregnant, we were trying to have a baby, and then a couple months later we got pregnant, and then we had our son Julian. But nowadays in Ohio, the doctors said that they probably wouldn't be able to, without getting too detailed and stuff, go and actually be able to give her the care that she would have needed to help everything all come out, because doctors can't go in and do that now with the abortion laws, because that would probably, the just the way that is, doctors can't go and give that care because of abortion laws, even though it was a miscarriage. And this is kind of been with this been with this problem, in that this is the problem, right? Is that these laws don't really understand everything, but the law has to do this because they don't know if it's an abortion, a miscarriage, all this stuff, right? It kind of has to blanket everything because that's kind of the way it is, right? But the problem is when it comes to medical care, a woman should be able to just say, "Hey, I need help," right? And there's cases where a woman has to go home because the doctor says we can't do anything. Our hands are tied. There's this law, and we literally can't do anything. And women have had to go home and deliver a baby that's not no longer viable because the law has been passed. And women don't want to have to be told what to do by a government official that doesn't even know their name, doesn't even know who they are or anything. And that's a severe problem. And that's why you're seeing state after state after state after state, even in deep red states. And I get that everybody has a slightly different opinion on this. I get it. I totally get it. But this is why you're seeing a lot of states, even in red states, say that they don't think that a government official, a man sitting there behind a desk, should tell a woman what to do with her body. The woman should choose or a woman and a doctor should choose, because every single case is different, you know? So, and that's just the story of me and my wife. My wife had a miscarriage. Um, Everything didn't come out. We were trying to get pregnant. A few months later, we got pregnant again, and we had our baby boy Julian, who's now 6.5. You know, but um, and my wife will tell you. I mean, she's in chat right now. She literally had to go see the doctor, and the lady doctor had to go in there and you know with her hands and I don't want to get all detailed and all this stuff, but um, it was very traumatic. I mean, my wife literally still thinks about all that stuff here because you know it is what it is. But I guess the moral of my thoughts here right now is that yes, we had our son here, Julian. He was just on for Halloween, and we love our son. And we actually, I kind of wanted to have another one, but my wife with her kidney disease now, um, we really don't think we can have another one because of my wife's kidney disease. So, but the problem is that should a government be able to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body? A woman in Ohio or a woman in Texas, should a government be able to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body when they don't even know that woman's name? They don't know her situation. They don't know anything about her. And that's why you're seeing all these different states pass laws that say no. They don't think that the government should tell a woman what to do. And you're seeing it happen over and over and over and over, that they don't think that the government should tell a woman what to do. So, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, I really don't think we can even try to have another baby because my wife's on opiates with her kidney disease, and she's in chronic pain every day. And I don't even think we can try. Yeah, yeah. So okay, so honestly, I think that the red wave here is a thing. You guys can let me know. Yeah, let me know your thoughts here. Trump looks like he's going to win Georgia. Yeah, my wife also had preeclampsia, and we had to deliver Julian. What was it? 2 weeks early or 4 weeks early? All right, so let's go back to this here. So Wisconsin, Donald Trump is leading Wisconsin by about 120,000 votes, 86% reporting. Michigan, he's leading Michigan as well, 1.94 million to about 1.7 million. Donald Trump leading Pennsylvania, 3.32 million to 3.1 million. And they're calling Georgia for Trump. Arizona, Trump is leading 934,000 to 918,000. Nevada has now reported significantly, 75% reported. They've now reported more than Arizona. Donald Trump is leading 51% to 47.5. 518,000 to 483,000. So Trump is now leading Nevada as well. So if he wins Pennsylvania and Nevada, like that alone is it. So Trump is still leading Pennsylvania by 100. Wait, now let me go back. 220,000 votes with 93% in. Now on Associated Press, it's 90% in. And he's winning with 220,000 votes. All right, guys, it's after 1 a.m. I think I'm going to be calling it here. I think Kamala Harris has a really tough time to win here, and I think Trump is probably going to pull this out. But I think a lot of this other reporting could take a while. Pennsylvania's at 90%, 93%, Michigan's at 63%, and Wisconsin's at 86%. So honestly, I think some of this stuff could take another hour, 2 or 3, or even go into the morning. You guys can let me know your thoughts on that. But I mean, I think that this could still be a while. So I think I'm gonna call it a night here for now. If you haven't yet, make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, X/Twitter. What are my other ones? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok with that link that Laurel pasted down below. It's pinned. And I'll be on tomorrow at 6 p.m. And we may have a decisive winner. But as of right now, it looks like the Republicans have won the majority of the Senate, not a supermajority with 60 votes, but 51. So the Republicans are going to control the Senate. They're probably going to control the House. So they're going to control the House, the Senate, and maybe the presidency is the way it's looking. So it looks like it's going to be a red wave, House, Senate, and presidency. But this could take hours. So God bless you all. Thanks for tuning in. I love you guys all, whether you're red, white, or blue. Either way, we're going to still have an amazing time here over the next several years. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You guys are amazing, and I will see you guys in the next video.